hesitant of getting married, having kids, starting a family, all of that stuff right now, especially in the US, with everything that's going on, right? So this channel, by the way, if this is the first time that you're seeing me, this channel is all about navigating the modern world as a 28-year-old guy in the US. So if you are currently in your early 20s or maybe even 30s, maybe you're a little bit older than me, and you just want to hear about, I guess, navigating through modern life, then that's exactly what this channel is about. And these topics are meant to, I guess, provide maybe some sense of comfort, or also talk about kind of how I'm going about life in general. So that being said, I want to talk about something that I've been observing over the past few years. And so that is mainly just the whole concept of having kids and like what does it really bring today. Now, this might come off kind of nihilistic. It might come off very doomer mindset or black pill, which is not it's not my intention of this video, because I've always tried to remain as optimistic as I possibly could about, just life in general. However, when I look at everything that's going on as far as, well, for one, the cost of life in general has gone up dramatically, especially in the West. And I see more and more young Americans turning towards working online and then traveling outside of the US and then living in other countries. I'm seeing that a lot more just because of how hyper expensive everything is. And then also you have you have everything else that's going on. You have the political division, you have the high risks of getting married, especially for guys getting married. There is always that risk that your wife can get bored at any time. She could leave you for any reason. She could cheat on you, and then she could pretty much leave you, and then you're paying like half of your income towards a kid that maybe isn't even yours, basically. Like, she's incentivized to do that. Basically, she could just take your part of your income, and I see that happening quite often. Now, after all of that, like, let's say that you meet someone and you guys vibe really well, and you're like 100% certain that she's like your lifelong partner, and you want to get married and have kids and all that. Well, then the next obstacle after that is, of course, going to be the cost of having kids. And then the next obstacle after that is your son or daughter having to navigate through everything that's going on. So I watched a video recently of a guy talking about his interaction with a school teacher in a grocery store. And this teacher was basically telling him how like a lot of teachers right now are basically quitting. They don't want to continue teaching because the behavior of a lot of these young kids is really bad now. So like pretty much like 95 to 99% of kids in school are constantly misbehaving. Teachers feel fatigued. And this isn't even just like high school. Like you think maybe it's just like high school and like university and stuff, but this is happening in elementary school as well. And I believe a lot of it has to do with, kids being raised on smartphones and social media, and they're being exposed to a lot of this stuff at a much younger age. But what's even more sad about this is the small percentage of kids that, do behave and are disciplined and, are trying to be like respectful. They get bullied relentlessly. And so that is something that is a huge problem in the West right now. And then on top of that, you have agendas being pushed on your kids as well. So you have the whole, swapping of the gender roles, which isn't as bad as it was, within the previous 4-year cycle, but it still exists, and there is still a lot of that happening right now where, like they're trying to feminize young men, and then they're trying to over empower women basically. And so when I look at all of that, on top of everything else that I just mentioned, it to me, the way that I see it is I just don't see the benefit of raising a family. And so if I were to have kids in the US, like I would almost want to homeschool them in a way, which it sounds crazy because that used to be like the type of thing where you would get bullied for, right? Like, oh, were you homeschooled? Like if someone says something stupid, then that could be like a response or something, like to try and call someone dumb or whatever. But I almost feel like your kids would be better off if they're homeschooled compared to if they went to a public school in a sense, in most cases. And so that is even if you go to a religious school. You might think that kids would be better behaved there, but I've even heard that even in like highly religious schools that it's also the case as well, where just a lot of kids just don't behave at all. And yeah, there's a lot of bullying going on, a lot more than before. And yeah, so it's a lot of stuff that you got to navigate through. And then after all of that, the cost of living is probably going to be much worse than it is right now because they're continuing to print trillions of dollars. And so this is, regardless of who's in office, it's both a left and right issue. Because the elites just continue to print trillions of dollars every single year, and then they keep catering to people who don't want to work, and that's a huge issue. So by the time that your son or daughter is old enough to start working, they turn 18, they graduate from high school, university is not going to be worth it at all because it's already 6 figures in debt. And then if they try to work a regular job, they're most likely going to be working, 60 hours a week, probably even worse than what a lot of young people have right now. And then they're just going to, even with all of that, they're still going to be stuck with their parents. And so the consequence of that is going to be that there's going to be a lot more crime. There's going to be a lot more theft. There's going to be a lot more degeneracy that comes from all of this because people want to cling on to whatever bad behavior to get any sort of dopamine that they can't get, just from being a normal functioning citizen. So that is, there's a lot of hurdles that you got to navigate through in the West when it comes to going that traditional route of getting married, having kids, starting a family, and then trying to have them do everything that you did and live a comfortable life. To me, it just seems very unrealistic nowadays. And personally, for me, and I like from what I've seen, the birth rates are plummeting everywhere in the world. It's not just in the West. So it's even happening in Europe and Asia and almost every country from what I've seen. Birth rates are just continuing to drop. And I believe a lot more, it's weird because it's like a lot of these countries, like they have like their own set of issues, but it's like leading to almost like the same type of result. Like I know Japan is another country where the birth rate is declining fast, and I heard it's even to the point where there are more adult diapers being sold compared to for children basically, which is crazy to think about, but that is the case in Japan, and I believe that'll soon be the case in with the rest of the world as well, especially in the West. But at the very least, the way that I look at it is if I were to ever let's say I do want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to, live that traditional lifestyle, I believe that the best option for me personally would be to have kids in another country, maybe like somewhere in Eastern Europe, where everyone is a lot more civilized. There isn't all this degeneracy being pushed. It is a lot more incentivized for men and women to get married. I'm not saying that it's perfect everywhere else. I'm not saying that getting married in Europe or Asia or one of these other countries is automatically going to be, everything's just going to be sunshine and rainbows. But from what I see with young kids that are being raised in Europe and Asia and a lot of these other countries is that they are a lot, again, a lot more civilized, and there is generally a more collective, mindset of doing good in the world, basically. So yeah, that's just kind of what I wanted to talk about in this video. Let me know your thoughts, what you think of this down below. If you agree or disagree with me, or if there's anything that you want to add onto this at all, let me know your reasoning as far as maybe why you're not having kids. And if there's any other thing that I didn't mention, then feel free to drop a comment down below. So that being said, if you want to check out what it is that I do to make money online and how I intend on traveling overseas soon, then you could check out how I'm doing that down below as well. And you could build up a residual income if you want to maybe escape the 9-to-5 rat race. So check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and all the best.